Hey, how's it going everyone? Tazen here, today bringing some more new and exciting Final Fantasy VII Remake news because we've gotten some awesome new leaks for the game and some that also match up with some previous leaks as well. So let's go over a few of these and talk about specifically ones pertaining to how the game will be split up and two, looking at a lot of the character designs. I'll then do a second video which will be going over more of the gameplay specific leaks and then also some of the world designs, but I think today is better to focus on more of the story aspects. Now in regards to leaks, again, always take them as potential possibilities, at least that's how I like to take them, rather than facts set in stone, and then sort of look at the benefits and maybe detriments that if these leaks were to be something that is incorporated into the game, you know, how does that influence the game and the story? Now in regards to these leaks, so we're going to be going over some leaks, more information from someone on Reddit who claims to know someone in the video game journalism industry who has provided point-on-point factual information regarding the state of play trailer, but has also provided them some information that is not matched up. But in regards to this information that provided, they match up with brand new leaks that are claiming to come from the Segundo Square-Enix branch in California, which is apparently the publishing and localization branch for Square Enix. So this is really interesting to see some of these leaks match up, and also just in general to just see a lot of the information that they talk about. So firstly, going over the leaked information in regards to how the game will be split up episodically and how much story it will entail in both. I do just want to give a quick mention, and very important mention, that this will include spoilers. It's specifically even written in the leaks themselves. So if you're not interested in learning some major spoilers for the game, even if they are widely advertised, I highly recommend clicking away. But if not, let's get right into it. So reading over what's been written by the first Reddit leak that I mentioned. So he said here, he also gave me some information about how the game will be split. He claims it will be split into two parts. Part 1 will end with the death of Aerith. And they're looking over the leak from the what has been claiming to come from the El Segundo branch in California. It said here that the game is in fact two parts. Part 1 ends exactly as Aerith is let down into water after her death and fade to black. That is very interesting, and in my opinion, I think that is the perfect way to end this. Not only does it also coincide with the end of this one, it's coinciding with an end of a very emotional part. It's a huge part in the game in regards to where it takes place in the Cetra ruins, or the Temple of the Ancients, and there's a lot of other important parts in that section. So without really going into too much spoilers, there's a lot of stuff involving Sephiroth in that area, and also Jenova, and I think they all make for great endgame content and bosses in that section. So in regards to this, again, this is an emotional bit that hooks you, and it sets you up for how the characters will respond to this and basically how they will go through the next second half of the journey. Now, although the game is split into 3 discs on the original, the third disc is pretty much just allowing for open world exploration, doing side content, getting summons, and going off for the final boss fight. So in that sense, I would say that it's more so of a 2-disc game. So I feel like this is marking the perfect place to end it. I also feel that is a good chunk of the game there. So I feel like if that's going to be one part and it's going to be a 2-part games, these are going to be quite lengthy games. And furthermore, it's been mentioned here that the 2 parts will be priced as full price games for $59.99 USD. And again, if the first one is going all the way up until the death of Aerith, that is essentially a huge game, especially if they're not only remaking everything from the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but they are expanding upon and incorporating more stuff into it. I think this is huge and worthy of the price. I'm also very happy to think of the possibility that it could be just 2 parts, because I feel like 3 parts is possibly drawing it on for too long, time-wise especially too. And also if we're thinking about cross-generational platforms, you know, we may be looking at a second part coming out midway through the PS5 cycle. I would say maybe the first half of the PS5 cycle, and then like a third part coming out through the second half of the PS5 cycle. Whereas if we're just getting 2 parts, again, we may get this towards the end of the PS4 cycle and the other one in the first half of the PS5 cycle, and possibly even allowing for like an enhanced version of the first part to come out on the PS5 too. So this is really exciting stuff. I would look forward to a game that would have that much content in just the first part, as opposed to just being the Midgar section, which some people have speculated on and discussed. I feel like that would be too short, even if they expanded upon that, because again, then they would have to be writing in a lot more story. And if they want to be really faithful to the original, but expand upon, I guess, the story as an entirety, then that would make it absolutely huge if Midgar's going to be, you know, go from this side to this side. imagine all the different parts of the game. You know, it may feel out of sync if this one part is really made a lot bigger than it was. Now, going over some information regarding characters. So I just want to mention here that it's been mentioned in the first Reddit leak that Jenova will still be expanded on, but they are going to keep her origins a bit mysterious. She's going to be frightening with this new tech. That really excites me because Jenova is a character that I find incredibly frightening when you look at all the disfigured and morphed sort of different designs of her in different phases. Even just the first time you come across a part of Jenova, and I won't say much more about that, I found it a bit horrifying, especially at the age I was when I played it, and there are a lot of horror-esque aspects in Final Fantasy VII. So I hope they do capture that, especially with Jenova. And the fact that they're expanding upon it, I think is good. The fact that there are going to be still a bit more mysteries to her origins also makes sense, because in regards to what we know of her origin, plot-wise it would make sense that there are still unknowns. I won't say much more because I really just want to reduce as many spoilers as I can for those who may be discovering the story through this remake. And then it's also been mentioned in that first leak that Sephiroth scene from the teaser is from the Nibelheim flashback in Calm. Points to the fact that you can see the road lines to prove that he's not a reactor like some fan speculation has been. And then also from this recent leak from the Segundo Square-Enix branch, Sephiroth is very limited in what is shown of him until the Calm flashback. Before this, you only hear his voice or see glimpses of him during Cloud's breakdowns. So this is very interesting. And then looking over this state of play trailer, that scene we see with Sephiroth, it was very hard to determine where that was, and when we did see those road lines, a lot of people speculated, including myself to some degree, that whether it could be actually something taking place in Midgar. I was of the mindset that that was a flashback that Cloud was having, but again, it could be actually possible that that is either a flashback of what Cloud has seen in Calm, or it could actually be going through the Calm retelling when you get to that part of the game. Regardless, I think it's good that they are limiting Sephiroth until the Calm flashback, because Sephiroth is a character that throughout his introduction into the game as a villain, it's left somewhat mysterious, and there's a huge impact when you discover Sephiroth as a villain, because he's really very much only mentioned, and even with Cloud sort of flashbacks and memory things, you really just see like a screen glitch where there's a flashing light and you see text representing the voice that Cloud's hearing. You don't necessarily see the flashbacks in those moments. So if they do it in this regard, it'll be interesting to see how they do these sort of little glimpses of Sephiroth in Cloud's flashback. I really hope they don't show Sephiroth's face until the actual Calm flashback, and maybe like this state of play trailer is just showing Sephiroth's back. It could also be that that is more so from one of the little flashbacks or memory sort of things that Cloud is having. And then now going on to the character design leaks that we've received. So firstly, I want to go over the most important one to me, and that is Tifa's character design, because not only is Tifa one of the main characters, but she was also shown to be part of the party in this state of play trailer. We never got to see her though, and that's why I feel like she's going to get a big reveal during E3. So it said here from the most recent leak that the design for Tifa is also true to the original outfit. Her face appears to be mostly similar to her Advent Children design, but slightly more Western. Materia also shows up on her gloves. I like that attention to detail with the materia, and I'll go more in touch with some of the leaks regarding materia in the gameplay video. But in regards to her design, so it's interesting. Firstly, for her Advent Children design, I found that fantastic. She had a different clothing outfit, so this is talking about her original clothing design, but with the face that appears somewhat similar to the Advent Children style. So the fact that it's mentioned here that she'll look slightly more Western, I'm sort of indifferent to that. I like how she already looked in Advent Children, but at the same time technology has progressed even further. And even just sort of the character designs that we've seen with Aerith, Cloud, Barret, they've all slightly changed a bit. So it may be something that's trying to fit more in line with sort of the global changes, and maybe also going in line with more of the global sort of marketing for this game. I feel like Tifa worked really well with some of that sort of more Japanese aesthetics to her. But again, I'll see how we go, and it'll be interesting to sort of see how her clothing and everything all looks, and just how she is designed as a character in relation to Advent Children. But in regards to Tifa's designs, I want to point out these awesome design takes from a Riot Games League of Legends 3D character designer who's actually created what she feels Tifa may look like in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So her name is Blair Armitage, and she released this last year in 2018, so it's both a video and we can see some images of this here, and just looking at sort of her take on how Tifa may look in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This looks phenomenal. Like, I've looked at a lot of the character designs that she's done on her website, they all look incredible. But looking here at Tifa, I think one, she looks very fit, very strong. Hair looks fantastic, the clothing, the detail looks absolutely phenomenal. And you can see here, this image sort of has a more so Japanese aesthetic facially. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe like her physique and everything will be somewhat represented like this in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. But again, the face will be sort of more towards the advent children and slightly going more western there. Now going on to some more character designs here. So it's been revealed here that Cait Sith, who is apparently going to be pronounced as Ketchi in Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I believe is actually always has been the name of Cait Sith. It's just always been pronounced phonetically in the West as Cait Sith, but I remember learning about like the fan localization for the Final Fantasy VII game on PC, and they made changes so that it did represent Cait Sith's name as it was meant to be pronounced as Ketchi. So it says here that he has undergone no major design overhaul. I think that's perfect, especially when you know who and what Ketchi is. I won't say much more on that, but I feel like there's not much to change it. It has somewhat more of an animated design look to it. So I think that's cool. But then here with Cid, it says here that Cid does not appear to be smoking, but you see evidence that he does. He's clearly upset with Shira, but toned down the aggressiveness as they felt it was unnecessary. That's cool. There was, I think, some more of a backlash or sort of mixed reception on Cid's design. I personally liked the look of him, but I did find that behaviourally it had more of a comical tone to him. But in regards to the Final Fantasy VII game, how they've sort of expressed a tone down in his aggressiveness, I think that's suitable because it could come across somewhat controversial that maybe he's abusing Shira or so on. So I think this is interesting to hear about. And then lastly, in regards to Cloud, it says here that Cloud will have a dress and wig in one particular scene, but it fades to black getting in/out of it. So this is referring to the Don Cornelio section there. So it's always sort of been up for debate whether that will be incorporated into the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but if not, people are worried that that may then be straying a bit too much away from the sort of, you know, essential remaking every aspect of the game, because it is part of a important part of the game in Midgar. So to hear that it will have it, but that was sort of maybe elaborated on in a way, again using techniques like fading in and out, we're getting it, we're just not getting to see it in, you know, the same exact level of choreography and direction as it was in the Final Fantasy VII game. So again, I'm not too fussy about that, as long as that's included. It'll be interesting to see it. So yeah, anyways, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts below. What are your thoughts on the game potentially being two parts, two full games, with the first part ending in the Cetra ruins after Aerith's death, and then also going over the character designs that have been leaked. So Tifa's character design, Ketchi's character design, as well as Cid's character design. I'm very interested to hopefully see Tifa's design in the upcoming E3, and then slowly see more of the other character designs throughout. Anyways, feel free to stay up to date for more Final Fantasy VII Remake and Japanese video game news. Again, I'll definitely be doing another video which will be going over the leaked information specifically to the gameplay, as well as the world design instead of the character design like this one. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope you'll enjoy it, and until next video, stay spot on.